And the prophecies have foretold. They have foretold that this baby would bring about unimaginable destruction, billions, if not trillions dead in hellfire. And it's like, whoa. And Will's like, whoa. And Lion Cat just looks at her and goes, lying. Well, now, my friends, I want to go ahead and I want to move on to the next part of my show today, and that is Comic Book Corner, in which I review a comic book, a graphic novel, a manga. I talk about what I like about it, what I mixed on, what I dislike about it, and just kind of break it down for you, chat, talking about the characters, the story, the world, the world building that's going on along with the creators. And today I am going to be doing a review for Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples' Saga Volume 1. And the person I have to thank for this is Deadpool. Deadpool, thank you so much for suggesting this book, and thank you so much for being a subscriber on my Patreon. Of course, I've had this graphic novel. I own several volumes of Saga, so I am a big fan of this series, although it has been quite some time since I've read it. And I didn't do this show yesterday because, one, I posted the poll too late, and I didn't want to do a half-ass show. I don't want to do a half-ass show for anyone's suggestions, chat, because that's just not fair, and I want to take my time rereading this because I remember loving it so much, and I really just wanted to kind of remind myself of the characters in the world and just, the work that both Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples obviously, put into the story. And to give a bit of a synopsis, a background on the work, it's set in a rich and strange sci-fi fantasy universe filled with epic battles and political intrigue. Saga follows a young husband and wife, Marko and Alana, from two warring extraterrestrial races who are just struggling to raise their daughter, Hazel, while being pursued by authorities on both sides of this massive galactic conflict. Now, before jumping into, Saga's story and characters and world building and artwork, I definitely want to highlight, the book's two creators, Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Now, Vaughan is probably, I don't think I'm being very hyperbolic in saying this, is one of the greatest living comic book writers at this very moment. He's responsible for some amazing comics, including some stuff you probably guys have heard of. Why the Last Man, Paper Girls, Ex Machina, Runaways, and Pride of Baghdad. A lot of these books, which I actually own myself and I truly, truly love. He's won dozens of awards for his work for nearly 2 decades, including 14 Eisner Awards, over a dozen Harvey Awards, and among other awards as well. I really do think years from now, people will put him on the same level as Alan Moore and Warren Ellis and Neil Gaiman and Chris Claremont and pick a famous beloved comic book writer, and they will treat him as some of the best writers to ever grace the medium. And some people probably already do put him with that group right now. I think I would too. And he still has decades and decades and decades of stories to tell us at this point, which is very exciting to me. But he's up there with some of the best that have lived and who are currently living right now. Fiona Staples, I think, is one of the best artists working in the comic book medium today as well. Her character designs can range from being just stunningly gorgeous to just utterly bizarre and thoroughly grotesque. She brought Vaughn's epic sci-fi fantasy world to life with all of its beauty and horror in a way that I think many artists would have struggled to, because it's weird. Brian K. Vaughan is weird, and I think she's pretty weird too. And much like Vaughan, she too has won dozens of awards, including Eisners and Harveys and everything else in between, for her work on this series and obviously others. Now, I regret to say that I've only read several volumes of this series, so far, but that in itself might be a good thing. Since the series has been, I think, put on hiatus since 2018. Vaughan and Staples have said that with the 66 issues currently available, they're at apparently the halfway point of the story that they're telling. So as someone who, fell off the series, not because I didn't like it, but because it came, I think, at a point where in my life where I was extremely busy, just very, very busy in my life. And I'm actually very excited for them to continue and eventually complete this story, especially after rereading Volume 1 again. It's funny. Having just reread this after so many years, but also watching Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, these two works actually have something in common, I realized. They are both inspired by science fiction and fantasy properties like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and so many others. But unlike Rebel Moon, which is an awful movie, derivative, and rips off all those properties in the worst ways possible, Saga, while inspired by those properties and those works, does its own spin on those stories and fills its world with amazing characters, heroes, and villains that you fall in love with and hate, despise in the best way possible. It draws you in, and Vaughan and Staples makes you fall in love with this world. And when something happens to some of these characters and bad stuff does happen to these characters, you actually feel something. The story literally opens up with Alana and Marko in the back of some sci-fi auto body shop where Alana is giving birth to their daughter, and she's saying, "I think I'm shitting, but it feels really good." we get like a full picture of this story and world in just the few pages. These two soldiers that should have hate each other, that fell in love, the cultural differences of their races, the people that are pursuing them, the action and style, and the beauty and the horror of this universe. Give even more context, like the conflict between Alana and Marko's people has pretty much engulfed, right, the entire galaxy and its many races in all-out war, with various other races picking a certain side in this conflict. You have Alana's people, the people of a planet called Landfall, they're also referred to as Landfallians, who are a winged, tech-based society that live on the planet of Landfall. And Marko's people, who also refer to their kind as the Wreath, they are this horned, magic-based society that lives on Landfall's largest moon. What's so funny and like twisted about this conflict is that either side can't destroy their respective worlds, because it would then result in the destruction of their own worlds. You can't blow up the planet because that'll mess up the moon, and you can't blow up the moon because that'll mess up the planet. Which is like, and it just shows you like this conflict is it's so stupid. Like, why are you even doing this? And that's what Vaughan is clearly pointing at. So it's so interesting because they've outsourced the conflict to different locations across the galaxy, and that's what's brought in the other races to this conflict. Marko was a prisoner of war, and Alana was his guard at the prison. They later bond and fall in love very quickly. They fuck. She gets preggo, and they're on the run from both of their peoples, and they're allies. Hate the fact that these two sworn enemies, these sworn would-be enemies, just fell in love, fucked each other, and made a baby, which they then consider an abomination because they're like, we can't have this conflict stop. We can't have that kind of propaganda out there. Bullshit. We need to stop something like this. And it's also a little bit of Romeo and Juliet in there too, chat. No doubt. These two star-crossed lovers, who are not meant to be together, but bond over their mutual interests and their love for each other, and they create something beautiful, and the rest of the galaxy's like, stab the baby. We got to stab the baby. That's what we got to do. We got to get Vizier Nappa, and we got to stab that baby. Now, it comes in terms of the character themselves. Like Alana, she's like this really quick-witted and very sarcastic, like sharp-tongued person, right? She's not afraid to say what she's thinking in any given moment. She's maybe not the sharpest tool in the shed, one might say, to quote the great philosophers of Smash Mouth chat. She's not the smartest, sharpest, tool in the shed. She's not the smartest person. And, she's definitely very flirty. She kind of likes trashy, like, romance novels chat. But, she has a good heart. She is a good person. And she's trying to do her best. And she falls in love with someone, again, that she shouldn't fall in love with, but she can't help it. And I like that. There's a definitive charm to her that you're gonna like as a reader. While Marko is he's very different from her. He's much more admirable. He's witty. He has a lighthearted, personality, unlike, Alana, who would be like, what the fuck did you say? He's like, hey man, it's okay. Let's just relax. Let's take it easy. Where Alana, she would take a slight very personally. He would be like, all right, man, whatever. Let's just keep moving. We just got to survive. We can't, fight every person we come across. And they complement each other, like, very well. They have a different approach to a variety of conflicts. They have a different approach to parenting. But what's so great about, like, the two of them, especially in this first volume, you get a sense they just have this profound love for each other, and, like, how they just answer each other's questions, how they go back and forth, how they argue. It's incredibly charming and cute and very, very heartfelt, especially in volume 1, but also in subsequent volumes. Now, you have other characters in this first volume, like, and man, they are weird and strange and, like, over the top. You have a character like, Prince Robot the Fourth, who is, one of many characters in the book in the first volume, pursuing Alana and Marko. He is a humanoid robot with a television for a head. Like, every member of his species is humanoid, but they have, like, these giant television heads. And he comes from a place called the Robot Kingdom and is part of the robot family, where they have King Robot and Queen Robot and the various other prince robots. and their TV heads often display images of what they're thinking, and it usually leads to very awkward or funny situations. Like, it might be a scene when he's having sex and they'll display, like, some weird fucked up image, or maybe he's having a meeting with someone and suddenly just something random appears on his face and he's like, I'm sorry for that. It sometimes happens, and that, again, leads to a lot of funny and awkward situations. He's an antagonist of sorts in the series. I think that's the one thing about this book that I love so much, is like, we're introduced to so many villains, especially in this first volume and the sequel volumes. But Vaughan just adds so many layers to them as characters. They're just not your standard, one-note villain. Like, they have, like, so much going on in their lives. They have so much of a personality where it's like, I mean, I don't really like that you're going after these two, Alana and Marko, and their little daughter, their little abomination baby. Stab the baby. But, I like you, though. And that's the problem. It's a good problem to have, and again, it gets, like, morally complicated. We were in a lot of gray areas, a lot of gray space in this novel, in this series, at least what I've read of it, right? And certainly in this first volume. Along with, like, Prince Robot IV, like, there are allies for Alana and Marko. One of the first companions that assist Alana and Marko in this series, who doesn't, like, betray them, is a character named Isabelle, who is this friendly teenage ghost, which they encounter at one point. Like, there's this legend, like, oh God, the spirits of this ancient forest, they'll kill us all. And it's just like a bunch of, like, dead ghost kids. But it's not like, like a Scooby. It's kind of like, what if we combine Scooby-Doo, kind of like, the aesthetics of Scooby-Doo, but also some kind of, like, Lovecraftian horror? Because when we see these ghosts, they're, like, literally, like, falling apart. Like, we see them, like, their intestines are all falling out of their bodies. Like, they're disgusting. But they're nice, but they're kind, especially Isabel. She is like almost like the babysitter for Hazel when she's like younger here, and she's like, listen, I babysit a lot of babies, and this is like the worst babysitting job I've ever had. It's like that's the kind of like sense of humor that the book has throughout, and she's like a great initial character. The book also introduces some really good side characters, some additional antagonists, like the Will, and he is assigned by the Wreath, which is Marko's people, like their high command, to like find Marko and Alana and get their baby. And he's just like this really morally complicated bounty hunter that you'll love in one moment and despise in the next. He's actually accompanied by a fantastic supporting character in Lion Cat. And Lion Cat is literally looked like this giant hairless like cat that always knows when someone is lying. And like say if you make something up, he'll go, lying! And constantly just calls people out on their bullshit. It creates some very interesting, funny situations. Like one of the best great gags with the Will and like Lion Cat in the very beginning of this particular volume is that they're contacted by this Wreath representative who's just like, oh, Will, you gotta stop this unholy union between these two traitors, between Alana and Marko. They have birthed this abomination, and the prophecies have foretold. They are foretold that this baby would bring about unimaginable destruction, billions, if not trillions dead in hellfire. And it's like, whoa. And Will's like, whoa. And Lion Cat just looks at her and goes, lying. And like the representative is like, all right, well maybe not that, but we just want you to stab a baby. We just want you to stab the baby. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll stab the baby. And it's like situations like that, which are just so bombastic, over top. It's also poking fun at a lot of common science fiction and fantasy tropes that we often see in films and TV shows and in books and also in comics. And it's just like, yeah, that whole prophecy about, the chosen one. How many times have we heard about like a chosen one in fiction chat? It's like, it ain't any of that. It ain't any of that. Stop trying to make it a bigger deal. You two sides are just... You've been fighting this conflict for so goddamn long. You don't even know why you're fighting each other at this point. And the rest of the galaxy has got involved, and it's been this way. It's just they don't wanna mess with the equilibrium. They don't wanna go ahead and change things because that would upset the status quo. And these two people that fucked and got pregnant are messing up the status quo. So you gotta stab a baby, and they don't want, some people don't want that to happen. You also have like other characters like in this volume, like the Stalk. The Stalk, which is this horrific. Now, you got a fear of spiders, Chad, and you might be really bothered by this character, but the Stalk, which is this female assassin and bounty hunter that runs across Alana and Marko in the story, and just a horrifying design. When you first see her, like, she doesn't, like, seem to, like, have any arms. Like, she's kind of looks like a stalk. She has this very thin, pale white body, this face of, like, multiple red eyes, like, going all the way down. And like later on, you just see like her multiple, like, come out of her abdomen, these multiple limbs with all these sorts of swords and weapons and blasters and stuff. And she has like this forked tongue that goes and just trying to stab the baby. And it is just really, really creepy. And just that goes to the artwork though. That's the thing. Like you have all of these wonderful designs here and these beautiful images and these horrific images. But again, like all the artwork created by Fiona Staples is beautiful. It's sexy. It's horrifying. In a lot of cases, also kind of gross. A lot of times it can be gross. The designs feel inspired by things we might have seen in pop culture before. But, she has a way of making it feel completely original. We have giant engorged heads walking on two legs. They're just like, ah. We have horrific spider creatures with multiple limbs and penetrating red eyes like the Stalk. We have alien trolls and orcs. We have giant fire-breathing tortoises of war. We have, giant abominations with like STD written penises. we have so many big swollen boobs and also other engorged STD-ridden penises. You know, she does it all, okay? She says, like, I'm just not doing stuff for the male vision, the male gaze. I'm doing it for the female gaze and anyone else in between, right? And I love it for that. I love it for that. This volume and other volumes that I have read prove that you can just be so wildly creative and original in the world of science fiction and fantasy. Feature fantastic, you know, characters you love, laugh at, and hate, all at the same time. You know, your loyalties to them will change in any given moment, any given panel, any given chapter. It's an incredibly inspirational piece of work, and it acts as, in my opinion, an incredible palate cleanser to unoriginal dreck and creatively bankrupt content like Rebel Moon or any other generic property that Hollywood waters down and shits out and tries to shovel down our throats. You need to read. You need to read this volume and the series. At least, you know, I haven't read every single volume. I want to, though. I'm actually glad I stopped because the fact that they had stopped, they put the series on hiatus, and I hope they continue it very soon. But I'm excited for Vaughan and Staples to continue it and hopefully finish it in the next several years. I'm kind of surprised. Or maybe they, you know, I'm sure that they've been approached to do an adaptation of some sort, whether it be animated or live action. I would love an animated series of this book. Like, there's only so much of the artwork that I can obviously show you here, and I will show. I mean, some of this stuff I can't show you. I literally opened to a page, and I am just seeing just two people fuck, doggy style chat. There's penis, there's boob, there's the robot thinking about like a bloody penis. It's like it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to pick it, but like, you know, wonderful like pieces like this here get you like a nice sense of the type of artwork. Chat, they use the color palette can change. Like, initially it's a lot of warm different colors, but then later on we go to a lot of cool colors as well, you know, something like this. It's just it's absolutely amazing and incredible, and it also leaves on a great cliffhanger. But you know, the other thing too is even if you're not like a fan, that's the other thing too. Even if you're not a fan of science fiction or fantasy, like those aren't really the genres I you know, go to. If you're like really into like indie comics or relationship comics, then you might want to give this a try as well. You know, because so much of this work is about the relationships that these characters have. It's about a very young couple, you know, entering into parenthood, very, very surprised and trying their best to be the best parents they can be, but making mistakes along the way, arguing with each other, but never like becoming resentful or hateful, just working through their shit in incredible, fantastical, and dangerous situations and scenarios. And there's going to be other people you're going to love in this as well. It's I pause to say masterpiece just because it hasn't finished yet. You know, I always want to be able to read like the entire thing before I could say it's a masterpiece. But I mean, I don't know, of what I've read, like I really don't have any complaints about it at all. There's not a single moment in the book that didn't feel earnest. There's not a single character that doesn't feel like it's thoroughly developed. You know, it not thoroughly developed. It's so great. And I think it's a great gateway. I think it's a great gateway into comics if you also happen to be like a big sci-fi or fantasy book fan or fan of those types of films. It's a wonderful work, and certainly it's a great gateway into the work of Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Like, if you like something like Saga, then if you want some maybe a little, I mean, both of these go so hard, but if you like something like that's a post-apocalyptic, Why the Last Man is definitely in the ballpark for you. I mean, Runaways, you want something a little more mainstream from Brian K. Vaughan, you know, is Runaways series, what he did for Marvel, I think is quite good. And Pride of Baghdad, if you want something that's like really self-contained, Pride of Baghdad might be for you as well, which is takes place during the Iraq War. It's like an R-rated version of The Lion King, where, okay, what if it's The Lion King, but it takes place during the Iraq War, you know, and it doesn't have a happy ending? That also might be great for you as well. You want something that's a little more or Paper Girls. Paper Girls, if you love something like Stranger Things, I think, or like, you know, 80s like movies, or like 80s kids movies like The Goonies, or the Monster Squad, stuff like that. I think you'll really have an appreciation for Brian K. Vaughan, but you can't go wrong with Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples Saga. It is a fantastic book, and what I've read of it, a fantastic series. And maybe once I finish it, I can call it a masterpiece. But for right now, I can safely say it is fabulous. It is fantastic. But what about you guys? Are you at all familiar with, Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples Saga? Are you familiar with any of their other works? You know, please let me know. What about you, chat? I'm very curious about your opinions on Saga. Let me go ahead and greet you guys. You're popping in here right now. Let me go ahead and check, and I want to know if anyone possibly donated, gave anything during that part. Ooh, I don't know. I can't read. Maya, you should learn to read. You'd like this book. Let's see what people are saying here. But welcome, Naya. Hope you're having a very nice day. Lying. So Naya's Lion Cat. Yeah, let me go. Let me find Lion Cat. Let me fucking find Lion. Oh my God, there's so much boob in this. Here we go. That's you, Naya. That's Naya. Lying. Oh, so amazing. Comic book on a Friday? Not a hater, but on a Friday? Well, I usually do this on a Thursday, but I posted the poll for my comic book corner on Patreon a little later than I should have, and I didn't want to do a half-ass show because I wanted to reread it. I wanted to, produce the best show possible, because that's only fair to my patrons and you guys, and obviously the person that suggested it. So I wanted to reread it, take my time to reread it, and then talk about it again. Remind myself, there's just so much, and there's just so much detail in this too, that is almost like impossible to cover. But you're gonna find something that you're gonna love in this book. So, but I hope you enjoyed the review, Hamanuptra. I hope you liked it. Let's see. What about the blind gaze discrimination? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Doesn't have that. Well, if you read it, I'm sure maybe an audiobook would be fantastic. Really good audiobook. Let's see here. One of my favorite characters goes, are you ladyfolk? Yeah. Great stuff. Ton of robot explosions, if you know what I mean. Oh, very much so. Yes, robot. He has some issues in the bedroom. That's all I'll say. Bloody penis. Yep. Bloody penis. I don't know. I can't read. I like Sega. Sega's good. Sega's fine. Sega, not as good as Saga though. I would say Saga's better than Sega, chap. Color, good to have your color. Welcome. Better than sex for Saga. I don't wanna. You might like it. Yeah. I Hate Fairyland is a good comic book. Katria, heart, hands. Good to see you, Katria. Good to have you here too, Will. Hope you're both doing great. Look at that little happy tappy dino dance. I love it. I can't hear either. Oh my God, now I know. How many homes are out? That's a good question, Xavier. That's a very good question. Or as they know, I restarted at it restarted at 55. So are they because I think they've just restarted it. I was doing some research today for the review. Let me go ahead and check. How many volumes they're out now. Saga volumes. Okay, let's see here. Are there 11 now? Wow. So, looks like there's going to be 11 volumes. Or it is, there is, there are 11 volumes, I think, available right now. 11 volumes. The most recent one was published in November 15th, 2023. At least that's what Amazon is telling me. And so I have quite a few volumes. I think I have about half that. I think I have like a half that. And I loved each and every single volume. It's very, very good. And so I guess they've just recently started again, so which is great. I wouldn't be shocked. Are they doing a show? Are they doing a TV series? I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see here. Xavier, I just started reading Why the Last Man. Yeah, Why the Last Man is very good. Very good. If you like Why the Last Man, I think you're going to love Saga. So I think there's 11 volumes out right now, and there's going to be more. Because I think they said when they reached like issue, was it 55 or 56 or how many issues they were like halfway through the story, or 66. I think like they said like, because I think they're at their 66th issue right now, and they said that's the midway point. So it's like, okay, so they're probably going to do like 120 plus issues. It's not too bad for like, this entire series. Let's see here. Brian K. Vaughan wrote Saga after work on the TV series Lost. He felt restricted by the budget of Lost, and he wanted to do a project without limits, excuse me. He said that Saga may not be filmable because of how out there it is. That's why I think like what they should do is do an animated series. I would not do like this in live action. I think that'd be a huge mistake. I think for the world, the characters, especially the character designs, it would be better realized in an animated format. That's the only way I would see it. And like I think like a Netflix or an Amazon. I mean, this is Image. This is Image that publishes the book. Image, of course, is also the publisher of, a lot of stuff that's been adapted, recently. Everything from The Walking Dead, or, better stuff like Invincible, right? I would not be surprised, with Amazon having such great critical commercial success with something like Invincible. I wouldn't be shocked if they adapt this into an animated series. They should. I think it'll be perfect. They got plenty of material to do so. I would not do so though until they're near the end of the story though. Don't pull a Game of Thrones where we're gonna start adapting this and like George R. R. Martin's not even done halfway through the book. So don't do something like that, of course, because they might shit the bed at the end for one. I doubt it, but we'll see. I'm good. Just got off work. It was super busy. Everyone calling last. Damn, I hate that. But good to have you here, Katrina. I just finished my review for Saga, which is a great comic book. How do you feel about post hiatus? So I haven't read it. I have that's the thing that I kind of went into my review. But good to have you here, Human the Black Human. I've only read. I think I own 5 volumes. I've only read up to the 5th volume, and the reason why it's not because I disliked it or anything. It's just because that was at a very like super busy point in my life, and I just pretty much stopped reading like a lot of comics. Even when I had stopped reading like a lot of like continued series, there was only like a few I was reading. And eventually, those just kind of fell by the wayside. Not because of the quality, but because I was busy. And so I am excited to possibly reread the sequel volumes and the rest of the series once it's all finally out there and in print. I think that'd be super fun. But I can't say. I don't know. But what I have read, fantastic. Fantastic. Did I miss the Blue Eye Samurai review? Nope. I am gonna do that next. I started last night, and I love it so far. Good. Amazon, Netflix. Yeah, Amazon and Netflix, in terms of the big streaming services, and I guess HBO Max to a degree too, or Maxly, as it's called. Like, they seem to be, although maybe not for long with Max, but it's certainly the case of Netflix and Amazon. Like, those seem to be the homes of adult animation and experimental stuff, which is exciting because I love adult animation. And again, it hasn't really penetrated theatrical, in the West, specifically here in America. But certainly it's very much the case with stuff on TV and streaming services. So I'm hoping. And Saga would be very much at home at either of those on those services. We'll see though. Saga was fantastic. I would like to see an animated version. Yeah, I think that's the only way I could see them doing it. I don't even want to. Yeah, I don't really need these designs in live action because it'd be. I mean, could they do it? Sure, but it'd be so expensive. It'd be so expensive, and they would have to cut, certain things out. I imagine. Yeah, the only way they can do it is in animated form. When are you gonna review the Cross comics, bitch? Those? I don't know if I can. I've seen panels from that. I'm like, I don't think I can. Because those comics are so violent and so gratuitous. It's like, I don't think I can do that, Naya. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like for like a one-off, like, hey, I'll read it. How about an issue? I'll read like an issue of Crossed. Do it. No, you want me to suffer. Those are really disturbing books. Oh my God. Yeah, you type in, let me look up Crossed comics. It's a horror comic. It's super Jesus. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I'm looking at some of these images, chat. It's body horror, but it's like torture. It's torture porn. It's torture porn comics. My God. Oh, do it. Ali Osher, thank you for the 12 biddies. Thank you. I appreciate that. And welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Scavenger is really good. Yeah, I want to watch that soon. Don't count. Crunchyroll Saga will be censored. Yeah, no, I feel like it's gonna come from an American company. It's gonna come from I think Amazon will probably do it. I would not be surprised if this is greenlit in the next couple of years. We'll see. Don't do it. It's super edgy. Review it on the Discord cross. No, I would review it on here. I do like I would do an issue. You know, just be like, all right, this is what this is. I'll break it down to you. From what I've seen, now to be fair, I haven't like read anything, but I've seen images. I'm just like, oh my god. But it's just torture porn. That's kind of what it is. And I mean, it has its dedicated little audience, no doubt about that. But man, oh no. Read the Sadness, since it's based on the comics. The Sadness, not familiar with that. Check that out. The Sadness. Oh, it's the film. It's a film. And it's a comic. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yep. Okay. Is it I just saw something really cool. Damn, that is some gross body horror. Body horror, chat. I love it, but that might go too far. I tried to warn you. There you go. I think it's on Shudder. You know what the movie I wanted to watch? I don't know if I'll have time to. Everyone's suggesting it to me. Oh, what was it? The horror film. It was the horror film where it's like it's a body horror film, but it's like where the devil is infecting people. I was thinking of like checking that out. Everyone, it's family fun. God, what was the name of that movie, Chaz? The one with the poster and the lady like has the axe, like she's about to hit herself in the face of the axe. What's that movie called? I forgot the name of it, but I saw the trailer like last night when I was doing some editing. And not Flashdance, no. It's definitely not Flashdance. When Evil Lurks, that's it. When Evil Lurks, and people were recommending that to me, and they're saying, "Oh, Chris, this is right up your alley. You'd love something like this. You know, it's body horror and all that." And when I watched the trailer, I was like, "Oh yeah, this does look like right up my alley." I really loved what I was seeing, but I haven't had time to. That's not Balto. Balto's good though. Balto's really good. So that might be like one of those movies I'll probably catch in January and do a review for you guys. What about Hack and Slash? I've read a little bit of Hack and Slash. This is more of it's more of a love letter to like slasher, horror films. Like that. They have like, cause isn't it like it's a girl and like, but her ally is like basically Jason Voorhees, but not Jason Voorhees. So yeah, it's currently on Shudder. Yeah, I was thinking of checking that out soon. One day, chat. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my review for Saga. Again, I highly recommend it. It is such a great graphic novel, chat. It has so many wonderful things in it. Wonderful character work. We're going to review for Women's History Month. I'm watching you. When's Women's History Month again? What month is that? I don't know what month is that. Is that next month? Is that January? I don't remember. Just remind me. What would you want me to review for Women's History Month? Whatever the middle finger timber is it? Oh no, it's in March. Okay, I can think of some stuff. I'll get to some movies. That'd be fun. Looking forward to it. And again, huge thank you to Deadpool for recommending Saga. It was great to read this just because. After watch again, like I said in my review, that's why I brought up Rebel Moon. It's just like, God, Rebel Moon is just so derivative and so terrible and just steals everything and doesn't even when it steals those things, it doesn't use any of those things well. Like Saga, like it obviously borrows from a lot of other like sci-fi fantasy properties, but it does its own unique spin on them and plays to your expectations. And that makes it so fun to read. It just has characters you fucking love. Like within the first issue, you really get a sense of the relationships between, like the first couple lines of dialogue, the first panels, you get a sense of like, okay, what this couple is. And I just loved it for that. So it just kind of made me go, no, there are people out there that are doing original things with science fiction and fantasy, even though they're borrowing from other things that we've all loved and seen before. So it's a great palate cleanser. It's a great palate cleanser for you guys. So I recommend it just for fucking that alone. Even if you've never even like gotten in the comics before, you'll like it for that. And you'll want to see an adaptation of it. Hopefully an animated adaptation. Sucker Punch scene by scene for the Women's History Month. Oh, I think I owe Sucker Punch. That we can do that. Do you approve of that? What are you even talking about? Sucker Punch. All right, chat. It's established this March. I will be doing in honor of the Women's History Month in March, which I found out is in March. I'll be doing a scene by scene breakdown chat to Zack Snyder's feminist movie, Sucker Punch. Skirt Punch is pretty much what Zack Snyder was putting in the camera. Oh, my Lord. Can't wait. I just thought of something else. Why is it called Rebel Moon? There are rebels, but there aren't a particular moon. There isn't a moon that plays a huge part in its location. I guess are they on a moon? Is like the planet that we're on at first, is that the moon? I think that's the moon. I don't know who the child. My question is, who's the fucking child of fire? Like, I have no idea who the child of fire is, chat. I know, like, they call Sophia Boutell's character the child of war. She's the scar giver, but they never say who the child of fire is. Maybe gotta wait for the Snyder cut for that one. I don't fucking know. So the planet they're on is a moon. So there you go, and it's Rebel Moon because the rebels are on the moon. Rebel Moon. So there you go. Moons are not planets. True. I guess it's a farm. It's a farm moon. A moon farm. I don't know. I'm sure Zack Snyder can explain it. Confederate moon? Yes. They're all about moon rights there. They're just all about moon rights on Rebel Moon, chat. And the Imperium just won't let them own people, I guess, What if that's the fucking twist? Is that the Imperium is actually like, hey, listen, we're just trying to like stop space slavery, and like Rebel Moon's just like the one. Now we want our space slave. That I would be very impressed with if Zack Snyder pulled that on us. I'd be like, wow, man, okay, all right, here we go. I doubt it. I really fucking doubt it. But we'll see. We'll see if part 2. Oh man. But again, great book. Highly recommend Saga if you guys have not read it.